Hello everyone and welcome back to Harrison Turp Motorsport YouTube channel. Who will be the next F1 driver on the grid? Maybe it's one of these guys. 30 drivers trying to compete for the title of Formula 3 champion for 2026. We've seen Rafael Camara, Leonardo Fornaroli, Gabriel Bortoleto achieve this feat in recent years. But we have 30 candidates this year, 17 rookies, 12 second-year drivers, and 1 third-year driver, all fighting it out. So let's go through what I think they'll finish from 30th all the way up to 1st, as well as the championship predictions for the teams at the end. First up, we have Fernando Barrichello, the 20-year-old rookie. He last season came 7th in Euroformula Open. The year before that came 3rd in Euroformula Open, so he's fallen off a little bit since 2024. And the year before that he was in Spanish F4, so not a lot of prestigious experience, the kind of normal route we see through a Formula like Junior series. So usually you go to FRECA, then Formula 3, then Formula 2. This guy's gone the Euroformula route, and it hasn't worked out for Brad Benavidez, but let's see if it works out for Barrichello at the AAX team. But for me, 30th, a lot to prove. Above him is Nand Havud Birambakadi. We have a new difficult name to pronounce. Last year we had Desanopol Interpuzovac. This year it's Birambakadi. I think I'm saying that right. If you know how to pronounce it, please correct me in the comments below. But yeah, he is a rookie coming from FRECA, finished 16th last year in FRECA, has improved on his season before that where he finished 26th in the same series, but he came 21st the year before that in Italian F4. We see the guys that compete at the top level of F3, usually they finish top 10 at least in Italian F4, because that's quite a popular series for these young drivers. So I doubt the kind of experience he'll show immediately. He might get into the groove of it, but at a DAMS team that is in their second year of operation, it's going to be a struggle for all of their drivers. Above him is his teammate Nicola Lacorta, a second year rookie. He came 33rd out of the pack last year in F3. The year before that he came 21st in FRECA. So we see that these guys that don't do well at FRECA don't translate into good F3 drivers in their first year anyway. So Lacorta, a lot to him to kind of prove, but he's at a difficult team to do that in DAMS, you know, that are lacking the experience at this level. And then we have ART's first driver, which is Magic Gladix. He is a 17-year-old rookie, one of the youngest on the grid. He came 10th in Eurocup last year. We see a lot more of these Eurocup drivers coming over and joining the F3 rank. So let's see how well they do. A lot of these other drivers that have joined from Eurocup haven't done great initially. Maybe it's a bit different spec of car. So yeah, we had like Bruno Dapino last year coming from Eurocup. Didn't do too great. So I've got him in 27th. But I think maybe towards the end of the year when he gets a bit more experience with the car, he's in an alright team with ART. I think they came like 4th or 5th last year in the standings, in the team standings. So he's alright, you know. He might do well towards the end, like we saw with Ugo Ugochukwu towards the end of last season, where he came back in an all-black livery. It was quite cool. Then the 26th driver is Gerard Z, who's returning for his second year in Formula 3 after finishing 29th the year before. Before that, he was in GB3, where he struggled. It's not a very kind of talent-packed drivers. There's like 2 or 3 every year that are quite good. But he finished 7th in 2024 and then 20th in 2023, competing full seasons. So it's kind of the hard way. He is 19 still, so still on the younger side, but most of the drivers near the top are 17, 18. So he might be one of the older ones in terms of if you take the average driver. He's probably above average. But yeah, still he's in that DAMS team, or have all 3 of their drivers in the bottom 5. Not a good look for them, but they didn't prove much last year. So I'm welcome for them to prove me wrong, but we'll see with Gerard Z. Then above him in 25th we have Michael Shin, the South Korean driver, joins F3 for the first time after competing in Euroformula last year. Like I mentioned, not a lot of drivers come through Euroformula to this series. We've seen Brad Benavidez do that. I think we have 4 drivers this year that have had time in that series, if not a little bit more, maybe 5. But still, it's not a traditional pathway. There might be some struggles adjusting to that. Maybe some of the team adjusting their style to translate their needs to his perspective from coming from Euro Formula Open. But we'll see. Yeah, I don't have high hopes for Shin. He is 21 on the older side. I think he's second oldest rookie behind Brad Benavidez, who's obviously 24 and further up the list. But yeah, not looking great for Michael Shin with the high-tech team, the last of those 3 set of cars in that team. Above him is his teammate though, Fionn McLaughlin, the Red Bull-sponsored Irishman who finished first in British F4 last season. We saw this with Kimi Antonelli a little bit, where they skip a series. You know, Kimi Antonelli obviously skipped F3. Fionn McLaughlin is skipping Formula Regional, European, or GB3. Sometimes these British drivers go the GB3 route, sometimes they go through FRECA. But either way, it's going to be a difficult year for him. He's on the younger side, he's coming up quite a big jump. So maybe towards the end of his season, he'll start to become a form. Like we saw with Antonelli in his rookie F2 year back in 2024. You know, the first couple of races were a big struggle, but towards the end, he got a few points here and there in that Premier car. But yeah, Fionn is in that high-tech team. Not an illustrious team at this level, but still solid. So he might do well, he might not, but I'm hedging my bets given his experience. Then the VAR's best driver, Jesse Cascado Jr. He's 18, a rookie coming from Eurocup also. Has been in that series for 2 years after competing in Spanish F4 and coming 19th in 2023. So also lacking a bit of that kind of FRECA experience, that kind of F4 experience that we kind of see a lot of these drivers get. But yeah, so hence why I put him down a bit. Also quite young still, hasn't kind of shown massive potential winning any championships, coming in top 3 in any championships. So we'll see how it goes. There's always a couple of surprises in Formula 3, so he might do great, he might not. Guess we're going to have to find out this season. If you do want to find out, watch some highlights of practice, of qualifying, stay tuned with the F3 kind of pulse. Subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of F3, F2, F1 related stuff, but yeah, mostly junior series, so stay tuned and subscribe, hit that bell icon. And then above him is the last high-tech driver, Jin Nakamura, 20-year-old rookie coming from FRECA, previously coming from Japan. So he did a season of Super Formula Light, which is the kind of feeder series into Super Formula, where he came 4th, and then Japanese F4, where he came 2nd in 2023. So quite interesting, because we see drivers like Mieta who come over from the Japanese series and struggle to adapt to the kind of European lifestyle and driving techniques and tracks, and it doesn't seem like he had those struggles over the first year or so. You know, I've got him in 22nd, which I think is fine, but still the best driver in his team. He's got a good FRECA result, but still is that translating that Japanese style of driving to the European tracks. So good luck to him, but I guess we'll see. Above him is his Japanese compatriot, Kanato Lee, who is 18, coming from FRECA also, but he's done 2 seasons of FRECA, and before that, competed in British F4. So, although he's got worse performances in FRECA last season, I think because of his younger age profile, more experience across the world, especially in Europe, where most of the races are in this series, he's got probably a better chance. He's in a slightly better team with ART than High-Tech, in my opinion, what they showed last year anyway, so I got a little bit more hope for Kanato Lee, but still a great kind of Asian Japanese contingent coming in this year. We got drivers from China, South Korea, Japan. Yeah, it's the most international kind of grid that I've seen in a long while, so that's exciting for me anyway. Then we have the first Rodan driver, Pedro Claro, who I have in 20th, finishing out the kind of bottom 10, or I guess bottom 11 because it's 20. Yeah, he's a 19-year-old rookie coming from 4th in FRECA. Before that, he was 6th in Spanish F4, and before that, it was 1st in the Brazilian F4. The reason I put him so low, Rodan, their car isn't great, and although he's coming to different series each year and performs well, I still think some of these other drivers probably have a little bit more experience at all of these tracks. He's only been in Europe for 2 years, you know. They don't go to Brazil in F3. So that Brazilian experience isn't great. You know, they don't even go to the US at all. So it's very different. I'm excited to see him do well. I think Roden struggled last season. I'm quite a big Louis Sharp fan, and they struggle. I know that some of their Polish driver and their other British driver did all right mid-pack, which is why I had Pedro mid-pack. But he's also a rookie, so I've had to put him down a little bit. You know, there's a lot of rookies, so I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm excited to be proved wrong by Pedro. I think he's got a lot of kind of talent, but he has to kind of show that through and refine that talent in the first half of the year, really show that in the second half of the year. And above him, Bruno Pino, 19-year-old, second-year rookie from Spain. Like I said, coming from Euro Cup the year before, 2024, finished 23rd last season. So he was in the lower order of the grid. I've got him going up a little bit, so going up like 4 places, which is, I think, not what he would hope for, but still it's an improvement, and maybe the third year can really be the year. I think it's really interesting how so many kind of returning drivers that used to stay in this series for quite a while, like 3 or 4 years, they've all left this year. We only have one driver that's done more than 2 seasons, you know, as in like this will be their 3rd season, and that is Brad Benavides, who we're coming on to shortly. But yeah, it's quite interesting how there's a very big turnover this year in Formula 3. Maybe that opens the door to some of these rookies to do it even better than we've seen rookies do previously with Fornaroli, with Kamara. But still, Bruno Pino, 19. Above him, Christian Ho in the Roden, higher finishing 18th. Second year rookie, 22nd in F3 in 2025. Before that, first in Euro Cup. Before that, second in Spanish F4. So quite a kind of good resume for the driver. But Roden, like I mentioned, I don't trust as a team. And then you also have not performing as good as he was back last season. So I think with F3 you have these drivers who are hoping to take the step up because some of the drivers are leaving the series, but then the talent coming up from the lower series are just as good, if not better, than the drivers they were facing the previous year. So it's hard for these guys to step up loads because all these guys coming up, some of them are world class, they're going to be future F1 drivers. So they can't expect to jump over them straight away. That's because they have 1 year more experience in the series, you know, and also waiting for a fundamentally worse performing team over the course of the last year or two. But yeah, above him, Ernesto Riviera, the first Red Bull driver of the grid. And what I've seen a lot recently is that F3 drivers particularly are getting less sponsorship. And I spoke to Freddie Slater in New Zealand the other day about this. I asked him, why haven't you joined a junior team yet? And that was before he joined Audi, but he said to me, it's not worth it. You don't get as much kind of experience and sim time out of it as you would expect, you know. The kind of payoff and gain that kind of locks you down into these kind of commitments isn't worth it, especially if you have the funds to kind of self-fund this expedition into the lower series of Formula 1. So yeah, interesting how there's not many back drivers. They might change throughout the year as the kind of stars emerge from the rest of the pack, but still, for now, Ernesto Riviera is one of, I think, 2 Red Bull drivers this year. No, sorry, he's the only, one of 2 drivers this year for Red Bull. So the second one after Fionn McLaughlin. But yeah, not a lot of experience for Ernesto Riviera. 4th in Euro Cup, 5th in Spanish F4, and then karting experience. I just think that because he's in the Campos, you know, if he was in Roden or if he was in the Dams, he would be bottom. Just because of his resume. But being in that Campos alongside 2 decent drivers of Ugo Ugochukwu and Theo Farnell, who are giving you that experience, helping you chew the car to be the best kind of setup, that's going to push him up a block, you know. Not into the top 10, but still 17th, which is solid for a first year driver. You see a lot of these other drivers returning, finish 22nd, 23rd, you know. So 17 is solid, at least enough to get another year in 2027 when he wants to kind of compete for that title. But this year, I think it's more of a learning year for him off those 2 top tier talents in his team. Above him, Yevon David. I am finishing in 16th, sorry. He's a rookie coming from Euroformula Open. And this is a little bit of bias. I went to the Formula Regional Oceania in New Zealand over winter. Well, it's their summer, but it's the British winter. Um, and I got into the kind of onto the track, and he was there in his grid box saying hi to everyone. So I quite like him because of his personality. But also, I think maybe it's probably me overestimating the AIX. I know on their day they're going to have a good result. We saw that with Brad Benavidez last year. That qualifying form from him was top notch. So hopefully he can kind of bring that in this year and pass it on to his younger teammates. But we've seen AIX drivers, they all have that Euro Formula Open. So maybe they're witnessing, actually, these guys in this series in your Formula Open are pretty good, you know. Let's bring them over to Formula 3 and kind of dominate the untapped market of talented drivers in that series. So we'll see how it goes with their two new drivers this year with Barrichello and Nevin David. But yeah, hopefully they do well. Above him is VAR's Hiyu Yamakoshi, who I have finishing 15th. So we're into the top 15 now, halfway through. He's a rookie after finishing 9th in Freca last year. 3rd in Italian F4 the year before that, and 5th in French F4. So he's made the rounds. But each year he's gotten in the top 10 of a new series. So this will definitely be a step up for him. Those series aren't as talent-packed as F3 is. But still, I think he could do well. But given he's a rookie, given he's not with the best team, with the VAR, it's a solid spot for him. And then we have the last AX driver I mentioned quite a few times, Brad Benavidez, 24 years old, coming from a season where he joined halfway through F3 and managed to climb up to 30th. And showed some dominating qualifying performances. We had Rafael Camara at the start of the year, outshining everyone in qualifying. Then in came Benavidez, the young US protege. Well, not young, one of the oldest on the grid by at least 3 years. But yeah, he shone. You know, he showed his experience in qualifying. He could give the most out of the car, given the conditions on track at the time, and was equaling Camara. If he was probably in that kind of Trident team, he might have even beaten Camara in most of the races, but he wasn't. He was in the AX team. But this, I think he can still finish 14th. Yeah, solid. He has a bit of F2 experience as well back in 2023, so definitely the most experienced driver on the grid, and he'll be looking to show that to the younger guys. Then in 13th, I have Enzo Deligny in the Prema team. He is a rookie, coming 3rd in Freca the year before. Then 12th in Freca the year before that, so he's showing growth. But he wasn't as good as Freddie, Slater, or Matteo De Polo in Freca last season. But still, a great driver and quite a good team in Prema. I think they'll be next year. But yeah, one to watch out for. Taiko Kato, 18-year-old rookie, coming off a season where he finished 7th in Freca. Before that was 1st in French F4. And before that he was karting. So some of these guys are quite young. You know, I think at least 6 or 7 of them. This is their third year. I think it's their 3rd year for 6 of them in kind of single-seater cars where it's not karts, you know. So they're lacking the experience, but he's shown that he's got a win in the French F4, a good showing in his first year of Freca. He's on the rise, and hopefully he can kind of ride that wind to a top 12 finish in Formula 3 in 2026. Above him, though, is a returning driver who had a very disappointing season last season. It's Brandon Badua. He was with McLaren to start, then he got dropped by them after some terrible performances. He's now with the Rodin team and switching from Prema. And yeah, 11th, just misses out on the top 10. He was 25th in F3 last year, so quite poor. I think I had him in my top 15 predictions, so very underwhelming, but maybe he just needed a year to settle in. He's changed teams, got a new environment, and is ready to thrive, but still, maybe he'll need a 3rd year before he makes the step up to F2. Above him, Mattia Colnaghi, the Argentinian protege, 1st in Eurocup, 1st in Spanish F4 the year before that, and was karting before that. He's only 17 years old, one of the youngest on the grid, alongside Deligny, Riviera, and Slater, you know. So good luck to him. I think he's going to do well. He's in the MP team. They got Toponin and Gusti in that team. So like what I mentioned with Campos, other drivers to kind of bring you forward with their setup and with their experience that they're passing on. So hopefully he can do well. Above him is James Wharton, the second Prema driver. I'm finishing in 9th. Second year, very disappointing last year. 27th in F3. The year before that though, 2nd Frecker. The year before that, 4th Italian F4. So he's meant to be at the upper echelons of the sport. But he just hasn't shown that last year. Hopefully this Premier team can turn it around. I know in this circumstances it's not great to back Premier. F2 they've struggled. Formula 3 they've struggled. But I believe that this year will be the year that they come back a little bit. They're not going to win a championship. You got Campos to try doing that. But they could get third. You know, third is on the card, especially with some of the other hires that some of these middle pack GT teams have made. A bit risky hires, a lot of rookies, a lot of inexperienced drivers. But Premier have gone out and got in Wharton, got in Louis Sharp, got in Deligny, very experienced young driver. So yeah, solid position for James Wharton, I think. Maybe enough to step up to F2 in 2027, but we'll see. Above him, I have Trident's Matteo De Polo, a rookie, finished second in Frecker last year. He's at the Trident team, but there's two drivers of Trident who are, I think, this guy, De Polo is a great driver. There's two drivers at Trident who are somehow even better than him. So I think it's probably going to be a pit stop priority thing where he just doesn't get the optimum strategy every race or every other race. He's going to be third on the order for most races, and that just doesn't allow you kind of show your skill set, you know. So I think he's going to do very good for a rookie. I mean, like 8 is nothing to sniff at, but it's not first, you know. But I still think it's good enough to kind of either choose his spot at team next year and be the #1 driver in Formula 3, or maybe step up to F2. So yeah, big things for Matteo De Polo coming in this year. Above him, maybe a little bit biased. Maybe should be below his teammate James Wharton, but I've got Premier's Louis Sharp making the switch from Rodin to the Premier team. Second year, came 26th last year, ever written a really disappointing season for him. The year before that though, he was first in GB3, the year before that he was first in British F4. Those series, they sound great. Wins in both series, back-to-back years, outright champion by a margin. But the drivers, those series aren't stacked as Frecker is. Those series aren't stacked as Italian F4 is. So even though they're good wins, I might have to put an asterisk next to them and kind of abridge my expectations of drivers coming from those series in the future. But I still back my boy from New Zealand, Louis Sharp. Good luck to him. Yeah, I have him in 7th. Then we have MP's Alessandro Gusti, came 10th in F3 last year, so going up 4 spots. Before that he was 6th in Frecker. The year before that he was, in 2024 he was 4th in Frecker. The year before that he was 6th in Frecker. So he shows he makes consistent improvements. He's a consistent driver, constantly getting points enough to get in the top 10. So he's going to do the same thing again this year with MP. And although he won't be their leading driver, being Williams back is definitely good for him, and will help him get a bit more experience and get a lot of points. He might step up to F2 in 2027. That's confirmed. You hit it here first. Then above him is Stefan now, Campos' new driver. He came 8th in F3 last year. This is his second year. He's still only 18. Yeah, I think he's finishing 5th. You know, it's a good solid finish. He finished 9th in Frecker 2024. The year before that it was first in F4. So he's on the rise. I think he's a stock you want to buy into now. If you're French, if you kind of have any kind of affiliation towards him, he's good. So get on his bandwagon, get on his train, and ride it along with me to the promised land. And then in P4, I have Tukas Ponen. I think this is going to be a hated selection. He has a lot of fans, a lot of Ferrari fans. He's in the Ferrari Academy. He was the kind of next big thing coming through. But I don't see it, you know. I see a very consistent driver, a very good driver, but nothing world class. I mean, he came 9th in F3 last year. But that was because he adjusted very well to the series. You know, a lot of these other drivers that came in, they have a lot of their raw talent, didn't adjust well. So maybe after a year of off-season and practice, these second-year drivers will step up more. Then I think Toponen will. But still, I think he's still great and could make Formula One eventually. So good luck to him. Above him, we have Trident's second driver, Noah Stromstead, the fiery rookie last season, alongside his teammates of Kamara and can't remember. Kamara just shown that much, But Stromstead, though, Denmark driver, was Mercedes bet. It's no longer Mercedes bet, I don't think. Still, a very good driver. He came 6th in F3 last year as a rookie, which is insane. And Kamara kind of blows out the water, but Kamara was 21, 22. Stromsted's still 18, So, regardless of what you think, I think Stromstead will make Formula One eventually. You have a lot of seats coming up empty. I think Alonso's going to retire, Hamilton's going to retire, Bottas, Perez, Hulkenberg. A lot of these drivers are kind of aging out. And we have at least more than 5 good candidates in this series this year that could make the leap, But still, third, P3 for Stromstead, in their Trident team. Coming second in his team, though, to his teammate, Freddie Slater. Freddie Slater, what can you say? First in Freca last year, first in Italian F4 the year before that. Came in to do F3 stints here and there in both of those years and shone both times. It was insane. He was so consistent for a driver that had never even touched an F3 car before. Came in, I think he got a podium last season in like 2 or 3 outings for not even been the AAX team. So one of the worst teams, he came in and put that car onto a podium. So I'm ecstatic to see what he can do in that Trident car. I've seen him in the Formula Regional Chiana event I went to, also very good. But the other driver in first place, Ugo Chukwu, was also there and showed that he was just a little bit better. Freddie Slater is 17th and Ugo Chukwu is 18, so yeah, I think there's a bit of a difference, there's a year more experience there. Ugo Chukwu is a second-year driver. He finished 16th in Formula 3 last year, but that experience matters, And although he is quite a big driver, being from the US, I think hopefully he would have been able to make that switch, Ugo to the European lifestyle, I guess. He has come from Freca, so he has a little bit, but still, yeah, I just think there would have been some adjusting to do, being so tall. I think he's 6'8", so he might have had a lot of kind of personal things going on with his growth and getting used to the car and the team, but now he's with the best team in Campos. They showed that they had 2 drivers do great last year. There was Mary Boyer and Slolov, who both kind of were 2 and 3. But this year I think they're going to clinch the championship. But I don't think they're going to clinch the team championship. We'll get to that later, but still, I think for me, there's definitely a top 5 drivers. There's Ugo, Freddie, Noah, Tuco, Theophile, and now are going to be a bit clear of the rest, in my opinion. I think one of those drivers will win the championship, confirmed. But I think out of those five drivers, it'll be Ugo for me. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. For the team championship, I have Trident winning it out. Having Freddie and Noah and Paolo, I think it's the best lineup you can have, apart from having Ugo in there alongside Freddie and Noah. But still, Paolo is a great driver in that team to have alongside them. Then I have Campos coming second. You have Ugo and Theophile. But then you also have Ernesto Riviera, who's unproven. I think Ernesto kind of let the team down in the aspect of securing points week in, week out, and making them build that gap. So yeah, I think the kind of teamwork from Trident can overcome the win from Ugo. In third, I have MP with Tuca Toponen, Arizona Gusti, and Colin Agnew. Another great kind of team lineup. Then I have Prema, who have James Wharton, Louis Sharp, and then Alonso Ligny. Similar to some of these other teams, 2 great return drivers in James and Louis, and then one a bit unproven rookie driver in Enzo Deligny. In fifth, I have Rodin, taking a little bit of a step up with Brandon Padua, with Pedro Claro, and Christian Ho. So yeah, then I have AIX making a big jump up, then VAR, then ART, who are taking a big step down. That's because some of their drivers they've gotten in have no experience. They have 3 new rookies, so if they want to get loads of points at the start, I think they'll struggle. And so yeah, 8th for them, High Tech in 9th, and 10th, of course, is Dams. With their unproven new team to the Formula 3, it's going to take them a good 5 years to catch up to the rest of the team to be competitive. So yeah, that's everything. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always. Peace.